So recently, Nintendo had a meeting with their shareholders, and they took a bunch of questions. Some of them are interesting. They talk about AI, scalpers, IP theft, infringement, stuff like that. So I did have this document translated to English, and I want to go through it. Not every question, just the more interesting ones. Read it, see their responses, kind of comment on it. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So the first question, and this one, it's interesting. They say, I think there are people out there with visual impairments who want to play games. Please explain if there are any initiatives aimed at this goal. This one, for a video game company to be asked this question, is really being put on the spot. I'm all for accessibility for people with, disabilities, impairments, stuff like that. Video games for somebody with visual impairments, man, how do you answer that question, right? Like, that's crazy. Is there ways to adapt to people with visual impairments to enjoy games? I'm sure there are, but yeah, that's really being put on the spot. So the president, CEO, Furukawa, responds, we hope that many people around the world will be able to enjoy our games, although I will refrain from mentioning specific initiatives here. We would like to make various efforts to ensure that not only people with visual impairments, but also people who have difficulty playing games can enjoy our games. Guess that's the best answer he could give. Like I said, being put on the spot, that is kind of being put on the spot. Unfortunately, that's like the way I'm looking at it. Like, how do you respond to that? Like, what can you do? That's a hard one to answer. So the next one, I would like to ask about measures to prevent resale. So this is scalpers of the successor model to the Nintendo Switch. So the Switch 2, or whatever they call it, Super Switch. Still, what are they going to call the next Switch? At last year's general shareholders meeting, you said that you would take measures to prevent resale by ensuring sufficient production volume of the hardware. Are these measures progressing? So Furukawa, as a measure against resale, we believe that the most important thing is to produce a sufficient number of units to meet customer demand. And this approach has not changed since last year. In addition, we're considering whether we can take any measure within the scope of legal provisions, taking into account the circumstances of each region. So how would they, there really isn't legal measures in where I live that I know of that you could take like that. Maybe they'd have to, not as far as legal measures maybe, but maybe, because they've been doing this thing, and I'm pretty sure this is what it is. Maybe I'm making assumptions, but you've seen with some of the most recent Switch releases, Nintendo has stopped Walmart, I believe, like Walmart and even Amazon to a lesser degree, I think, as far as online pre-orders, like they've cut them off on certain games. And I think it's been due to early leaks of these games. We just talked about this stuff with these lawsuits yesterday in a video about all this stuff with Switch ROMs and the MIG Switch and people selling hacked Switches and putting these ROMs out there, all these kind of things. And I think Nintendo's taken action, especially against Walmart. Like, you could sell this stuff in store, but you're not doing online pre-orders. They've cut them off. Past few games, Walmart, they've been cut off, and people getting their pre-orders canceled. And I think that's really Nintendo putting a stop to, they've probably identified Walmart is the source of some of these games getting out there early. I think that's what it is, right? So maybe that's something they could do with their retail partners is hey, one per person, maybe. I don't know. How do they, because people, I remember when the NES Classic came out, there was people with they brought 20 mofos, their whole family with them, buying one each, and they're bragging about how they're going to resell them on Amazon or eBay and stuff like that. They have all their kids with them and stuff. Each one of them's buying one. It's freaking ridiculous. So I don't know how they could, I don't know, in the US, I don't know how they could do anything with that. But they state, last year and the year before, we were unable to produce a sufficient amount of Switch hardware due to shortage of semiconductor parts. But this situation has now been resolved. We do not believe that shortage of parts will have a significant impact on production of the successor model at this time. So it looks like, hopefully, and I've been seeing a lot of quotes out there that, hey, there's going to be no issue. They're going to have a sufficient amount of the successor to the Switch to where scalpers are not going to be an issue. I really hope. When the original Switch came out, I gave one away. On my channel. what, 2017, I had like 1,000 subscribers. I gave one away. Like, I still remember the dude, Chad. He sent me a picture of him holding it up with his son. Like, I want to do that again with the Switch 2. I want to do that again, man. Hopefully we can do that. I can secure an extra one because I want one for myself as well and do a giveaway. So, but if they put in measures like, hey, you can only get one, well, we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully I can get an extra one, give one away, but we'll see how that works out. But moving on. Okay, so this is an interesting one. The question is, as efforts to equip smartphones and other devices with AI progresses, it is expected that AI will play a larger role in everyday life. I'd like to hear about Nintendo's efforts to utilize AI. So Furukawa answers with, in the game industry, AI-like technology has long been used to control enemy character movements. Yeah, exactly. Like they would have a script, some kind of prompt put in there on how an enemy would react, the way they would walk around, how they would attack, respond, that kind of thing. If they seen you, what would they do? Are they going to come at you? What their behavior would be like, their aggression, that kind of stuff. That's how they would use AI in video games for many decades now. They weren't using AI the way we think of it right now, like where you would generate things. You would pull things together to create something new or supposedly new, right? But he goes on to say, so I believe that game development and AI technology has always had a close relationship. Generative AI, which I guess that's what I was just kind of saying, which has been a hot topic in recent years, can be more creative. But I also recognize that it has issues with intellectual property rights. That is the hot topic. That is the biggest thing of debate. People who are for AI, people who are against AI, because a lot of times what people are seeing, and I see it a lot with artists on like Twitter, where they're knocking things where people are showing like, hey, look at what this AI thing did. And they'll show like an image and a bunch of different variants of an image. And then somebody will be like, that is like took my original artwork and manipulated it. I've seen it a lot. Or like where an artist will put up an image and there'll be like certain things where people be like, that was generated with AI because look at the way the hands look. That looks like it was pulled from many different pieces of artwork type of thing. There was the Pokemon trading card game fiasco recently there was some kind of contest and a bunch of people got disqualified who had won previously for numerous reasons. One, by continually entering more than they were supposed to, and then others because they were using AI and they weren't supposed to. So yeah, there's a lot of issues with AI right now. AI just doesn't magically just create. It pulls from things, right? It's not just like, hey, here's AI and it's just got a mind of its own. No, it has to know from something, right? It's not a magical thing. But okay, he goes on to say, we have decades of know-how in creating optimal gaming experiences for our customers. And while we remain flexible in responding to technological developments, we hope to continue to deliver value that is unique to us and cannot be achieved through technology alone. So I think what he's saying is like, we're going to continue doing us. And like, I guess like they're not going to bother with this kind of generative AI type stuff. That's the way it seems to me. We hope to continue to deliver value that is unique to us and cannot be achieved through technology alone. Okay. Moving on. So I don't want this video to go on for like 30 minutes because, man, there's a lot of questions here. A lot of stuff about the yen being weakened and how they want to, how they should react to that. Are they going to decrease the price of the Switch? Nintendo's like, nope, we're not decreasing the price of anything. Don't worry about that. They talk a lot about infringing on Nintendo's IP as far as like stuff with lewd things on like images, stuff like that. Companies selling products that infringe on Nintendo's properties. And Nintendo's response, Furukawa's response, just like, we're taking action against people. Don't worry about it. Like, we'll do what we can. They also talk a bit about security, leaks, things like that. And it's just typical corporate responses with those things. Like, we're working on strengthening security, stuff like that. So most of this is kind of boring, typical stuff. I think I got out of the way the more interesting things that I wanted to discuss. So link down below if you want to take a look at the document, get it translated, read through the whole thing. But let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you guys. Catch you on the next one. Bye.